We listen to composers who used classical forms and stylistic features of earlier periods in the Romantic era, and we find them in the 20th century as well. Once again, we have composers who like to use forms from earlier periods, but they infuse them with the dissonance and the rhythms of the 20th century, so they sound absolutely nothing like Romantic or classical or Baroque music. They sound very 20th century, but within forms. Igor Stravinsky represents this movement. He was born near St. Petersburg and studied with Rimsky-Korsakov, one of the Russian five who had written Scheherazade. Stravinsky's ballet Petrushka experimented with polytonality, hearing two keys in the orchestra at the same time. While this type of experimentation has been done by other composers and some not quite as pleasantly, Stravinsky used it effectively to create the colorful feel of the many diversions of a carnival. While you might not be able to distinguish what keys the piece is in, you'll notice that different sections of the orchestra seem to be playing different music simultaneously to create this effect. Two years later, he wrote The Rite of Spring, which had harsh dissonances, shifting meters, and pounding rhythms, completely different from this work. He envisioned a pagan rite of a young girl who needed to dance herself to death in front of the village elders to propitiate the god of spring. Listen to the huge percussion section, 5 timpanis. You have this as well as additional section of the Rite of Spring in your ebook in the Stravinsky section. Here is the climactic section, the sacrificial dance. While these disjunct pounding rhythms and tense melodies sound common to you now, after hearing them in multiple thriller movies, consider how radical these ideas were in 1913 coming out of the Romantic era. The audience was so shocked and outraged, they actually rioted at the premiere. Bela Bartok was a Hungarian, devoted to the study of Hungarian folk music. He spent much of his life traveling to remote villages in Hungary and collecting native folk songs. The unusual rhythms and modes are clearly reflected in his own compositions. He often used traditional forms such as sonata allegro, fugues, and canons, but with 20th century sounds. Your ebook provides his concerto for orchestra. Now, in a concerto, you would expect to hear a soloist, but Bartok said his work treats each member of the orchestra as a soloist. You'll see the focus shift from one pair of performers to another throughout the whole work. And you'll hear distinct 20th century qualities like the pounding, unexpected accents, changing meters, harsh dissonances, and tone clusters. As expressionism and tonal composition developed through the decades, experimentalism brought to it another level: chance music. In chance music, composers choose their pitches, tone colors, and rhythms by random methods like flipping coins. Or they pass out music to the orchestra and ask the musicians to play it in any order they want, each musician making his own decision. Or they could turn their music upside down and play it that way instead. While the proponents of this music considered the possibilities exciting, others just called it chaos. At any rate, when we, as music majors, were contemplating our stressful master's recitals, we really wanted to perform John Cage's 4 minutes and 33 seconds, which involves sitting on the piano bench and playing nothing for 4 minutes and 33 seconds. And presumably the music that we're discussing is the music the audience makes as it shifts around and waits for us to do something. So I ask, at what point do we start discussing the Emperor's New Clothes? The next great experiment came with the advancement of technology. Electronic music opened the door for controlling tone color, duration, dynamics, and pitch more than any acoustic instrument ever allowed. Sometimes the music is created purely by synthesizers. Sometimes it uses live performers and alters playing instruments and then alters the sounds of their instruments. Sometimes they use everyday sounds and turn them into a composition. One composer recorded flushing toilets and dripping faucets and turned it into a composition called water music. However far-flung these experiments have been, they work their way into contemporary pop culture with some of the interesting flavors that were later added to rock music. Here is the beginning of Deserts by Edgar Varese, which critics say brings orchestral and electronic music face to face. It is atonal and athematic and was written as a soundtrack to a modernistic film in 1954. According to Varese, the title of this piece regards not only the physical deserts of sand, sea, mountains, and snow, and outer space and deserted city streets, but also distant inner space, where man is alone in a world of mystery and essential solitude. This piece is scored for 14 winds, brass and woodwinds, 5 percussion players, 1 piano, and electronic tape.